Stadia. This platform has become the butt of many jokes. Look, the tech is undeniably cool, but just having tech isn't enough. It's all about the implementation, the business model, all of these different things where Google really screwed the pooch. You may recall Stadia had an incredibly rough launch. It was just, the tech wasn't quite there, and things have gotten better, but, you know, it just being a cloud-only platform is not something that appeals to a lot of people. The broken promises surrounding it, I mean, the bare-bones features, the lack of a compelling games library, and now the lack of first-party games because Google decided to shut down Stadia's first-party studios before they released anything, and just were really crappy about it, the way they handled that and the way they lied to devs and gave them a false sense of security. And just a lot, but probably the worst thing as far as the consumers go is the business model. It's just pay a subscription and also buy games that you can only play on the cloud at full price. It's just not something that is appealing. Now, Stadia is seeing a lot of headlines lately because of an announcement they made that, has garnered quite a few laughters from people. Because it's just the irony behind it and the fact that it took this long for this to happen. So here's the tweet. So this was published on April 28th, 2021. So 2 days ago as of the publishing of this video. The tweet reads, "Good news. A search bar is now rolling out to the Stadia store. Get us..." I'm sorry. I need a sec. Get a sneak peek into the next features coming to Stadia in today's blog. Here's the blog in question. Here's what that reads like. "Hey everyone, over the last few months you've been letting us know about the features you want to see next on Stadia. Today we're giving you a sneak peek into a little more of what we have been working on. First off, search bar on Stadia for web is rolling out now and will reach all players this week. It will make finding your favorite games much easier." I don't think I have to explain the irony behind Google, the search engine company whose foundation is literally the Google search engine, taking this long to finally implement a search bar to search games on Stadia. On top of all that, they talked about an updated UI along with sorting for your library and an activity feed for Stadia and some updates on that. And finally, there is a new functionality that will allow you to access Stadia directly through an Android web browser. But the thing that they really wanted to spotlight was that the search bar has now arrived. For those who haven't been counting, we're talking about exactly 526 days that it took for Google to implement this feature on Stadia since the platform's launch. That's roughly 16 months for this platform to get this rather basic function. Now, maybe in its initial first days or weeks when Stadia barely had any games, the search bar wasn't entirely necessary, but we're now at a point where Stadia does have almost 200 games, though the fact that it only has 172 games this long after launch, that's a sad state of affairs on its own. But at this point, yes, a search bar, is certainly a necessity once you're at this number of games so that people can more easily find the games that they want. Well, we're finally getting this. The internet has been having a field day with this. I mean, the headlines are pretty mocking in their wording, aside from The Verge's article saying it took Google 526 days to give you a way to search through Stadia's 172 games. If only Google knew anyone with experience building search engines. You've got headlines like, Google Stadia rolls out innovative new search feature. Also coming soon, sortable collections, an activity feed. IGN also had their own headline that reads, Google Stadia, from the company that revolutionized search engines, finally has a search bar. After 500 days, Stadia owners can now search for their favorite games. Kotaku's headline says, Google revolutionizes Stadia experience with search bar. It's just the level of enthusiasm that Stadia PR is expressing about the addition of a search bar, just dedicating a whole announcement to what is a minor feature that probably should have been there long before April 28th, 2021 is especially hilarious. It's a cherry on top of the cake. But mainly people are laughing at how Google, the search engine company, took this long to add a search function for Stadia. So here's 9Volt who said Lamau, the Google Stadia store, didn't have a search bar. And Daniel Ahmad here, who is a games industry veteran, pointed out something else that I didn't realize. That's not even the funniest part about this tweet. The screenshot leaks that Assassin's Creed Black Flag and Revelations are coming to Stadia. That hadn't been announced yet, unless they purposely did this to tease. A lot of people are taking this as them accidentally maybe showing something that wasn't intended to be shown until a later time. Either way, this tweet is just comedy gold in many ways. Rami Ismail, who is a developer, an indie developer, tweeted, "It's great that after almost 1.5 years, hiring and laying off entire game studios and generally squandering their early launch advantage, the massive corporation entirely built around search has integrated a search into its service. I wish Stadia had been handled better." Oh, you and me both. Again, the tech is cool, and there's a lot you can do with it if properly implemented, but Google squandered everything else but the tech, just about on every level. And the kinds of responses you're seeing from the gaming community in response to Stadia's tweet kind of speaks for itself. You got this hilarious image right here that is pretty aptly representative of the current mood surrounding this platform. Please tell me you aren't seriously promoting the addition of a search bar years later as a good thing. It is a good thing, though. It reminds all of us that no matter how hard you try, you can never fail as badly as Stadia did. Here's somebody else who tweeted, "My face when Google, the company literally around searching, have taken over a year to add this function to their own service." A search bar is about one of the most basic necessities for any digital storefront, and Stadia just not having that, on top of many other features that they promised that are still not there. I mean, it is so emblematic of everything that went wrong with Stadia. And basically more of the same. There's no way they just added a search bar. Lamau, how did you not have a search bar before? Go down the hall and knock on the Google door. I think they have something you can use. I think you get the idea at this point. And look, it's not like it's a bad thing that the service finally got a search bar. But my God, is this just awful PR for them to make a song and dance about the addition of a search bar, layered on top of just all of the woes surrounding Stadia, the fact that it continues to lack promised features, the fact that its library of games continues to be paltry compared to other platforms out there. I mean, PS5 and Xbox Series have only just come out, and already, even putting aside the backwards compatible stuff, already it feels like there's more games on those platforms than the, 16 months old Stadia. And unlike Stadia, PlayStation and Xbox have the advantage of slowly but surely starting to roll out exclusive titles, first-party titles that can only be played on those platforms. And Xbox in particular has the advantage of just straight up having the better subscription service than Stadia. Game Pass, just $15 a month, and you gain access to just such a great library of games, and those games can not only be played on the cloud, but also be downloaded locally, and it's just a great service all around whose value gets better and better as more games, especially first-party games, which are guaranteed to come to Game Pass on day one, continue to roll in. Stadia has been so far behind, and it continues to be so far behind, and the fact that it's only now getting a search bar, it further goes to highlight that. I legit don't know if Stadia can come back at this point. They're facing such a steep uphill battle at this point. Competition is getting stiffer, especially with Game Pass just straight up being better across the board, and with other cloud competitors rolling in. Stadia's falling behind. They promised the moon, they promised the world, but delivered very little ultimately. Marketing has always been a major struggle for Stadia, and it continues to be so with tweets like this, with posts like this, with celebrations of such minor things that should have been there from the start, especially when you're run by the company that specializes in this thing called the search bar, the search engine, anything related to searching, really. Not much more I can add here, just another chapter in this long-running comedy of errors. What's your take on the revolutionary addition of the search bar for Google Stadia, and what your general prospects are for Stadia's long-term future? Drop a comment, and to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.